Ooh, hoo, hoo. Hollow One versus BridgeVine. We've got some two newer style decks, and what's really interesting about this round is last week we had Matt on camera playing a different deck. All right, he was using the Hardened Scales list, and he played against Hollow One. I guess he liked it and said, you know what, I'm going to play Hollow One this week. And now he's going to be playing against the BridgeVine. So both of the decks are trying to throw stuff in the graveyard here, and, do some manipulation that way. So it's going to be really interesting to see what ends up happening with this matchup. But the BridgeVine is a really cool list that's really started to pop up a lot more recently. It's gained in popularity, gained in power. And, people have been trying to find the best shell for BridgeVine, and most people thinks they found it now. So we're going to be going over it. We'll talk about some of the cards, but I do want to at least pull up Bridge from Below. And again, if there's a card that we're talking about in chat and you are not familiar with, simply do exclamation card and then the card's name, and our handy dandy card bot will be able to let you know what it's all about. So Bridge from Below, that triple black to cast. It's an enchantment. Whenever a non-token creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, if Bridge from Below is in your graveyard, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token. When a creature is put into an opponent's graveyard from the battlefield, if Bridge from Below is in your graveyard, exile it. So it's all about making sure you get a bunch of guys. You have a sack outlet to make sure those guys, those zombies that you've got, are basically a meat shield to prevent you from taking damage. So it works out really well when you have something like a Greater Garganon. Right? That's one of the things that the list likes to run. I believe Andrew is on 3 or 4 as well. I don't know if he's since shaved down. But it is one of those suspends ones that you can be able to sack a creature, an artifact, or a land to remove a time counter from it. So it's pretty nice to be able to do that as a sack outlet. And then it's pretty scary 9/7 that can come out. And really it's designed to kind of overwhelm your opponent with numbers and eventually just sort of go super wide. You can also kind of go for like a Pierce style, just say, here's this like really big guy, right? So we'll see how things work out here. Matt's gonna start things out, fetching and shocking himself down to 17, and his idea is to be able to play something like a Flame Blade, Adept, a Burning Inquiry, a Faithless Looting on turn 1 here. Just kind of get going, and yep, there is our first idea here. Guess what? Both players get to draw 3 cards, and then they just discard 3 cards at random. Seems pretty good. So they're going to lay their cards out and allow their opponent to kind of pick which cards at random go away. Okay, so Gary T's list plays a 3/3 split. I really like having the seer in there. So 4 to 6 sack outlets are the best. All right. So looks like a Hollow One, a land, and a Street Wraith potentially, Garganon, Neonate, and a land for Andrew here. So it looks like Matt was really hoping to keep that Hollow One and be able to get it out there, because having a turn 1 Hollow One is really powerful. Oh my gosh, we're starting already. He says, please let me hit a bridge, and there is a bridge already. So one of our newer guys here, Stitcher Supplier, which really helped the deck kind of flourish a little bit more. Having this 1 drop that when it enters or dies, you put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard seems pretty nice. And here's a Faithless Looting coming out. And it looks like we're going to see already throwing some of our creatures in there. Blood Gas going to be going in. But still no follow-ups here. It looks like Matt really needed that land that got hit early on. Another Stitcher. And he says, let's push for some damage, right? I might as well. I'm not really doing anything. Here's one more point of damage coming your way. Doesn't have a sack outlet at this point. But that's okay. It's not like there's threats out for Matt. Land and pass for Andrew. Andrew just going to go through and do some adjustments, looking through his graveyard, making sure he's got everything all figured out. Another Faithless going to come out for Matt here. It says, hey, definitely going in there. Here's that risky part. What goes next? And he says, yeah, that's going to go. So he's set up now. He could be able to Gurmag Angler as a potential play for the following turn. Andrew, on the other hand, is going to fetch down to 19. So the Hollow One deck has that variance going with it, and one of the reasons why some people really love it and some people hate it. Ooh, any 8-rack players down there, Lillian's asking. Every now and again we have one or two that show up. I have the list. I like it a lot. There's also every now and again we'll have another player show up that might bring it as well. This week in particular, we do not have any 8-rack players playing on camera. Is that your list of choice over there? The 8-rack style? Alright, bringing the beats again. 2 more. Poking them to death. Matt's going to drop down to 14. Now he's got a way to do some blocking, I guess. So Andrew, looking through his stuff, I don't know if he has another land to do another Faithless. He's got a lot of cards in hand, but looks like he hasn't found a sack outlet, or at least hasn't found one willing to play yet. Oh, nice. Well, glad that you're starting to play. Modern is the best format, at least in my opinion. It's, you know, so many different decks, and you can build all kinds of crazy stuff. And 8-rack is a great starting point because you can really mess with what your opponent are doing. So I'm a big fan of that style of play. It can be tough if you're playing against aggro and things like that, but still pretty good deck here. We see another Burning Inquiry coming out. Eek! Let's see what we get. So both players are going to lay out their hands here, and opponents are going to pick some cards. I'm with Matt on this, just like picking, you know, some random styles like this. Let's go all over the place kind of thing. Wow, Bolt, and Gurmag gonna get hit. Let's see. Is that another bridge that went into Andrew's graveyard there? Maybe it was. Hey, a land. Matt's online. Trigger, trigger, trigger. Got those landfall triggers. Bloodghast gonna come back. Ooh, Bloodghast, Golgari Thug, and Bridge. So there are 2 bridges now. Things can get kind of scary. Still would be much more beneficial to have a sack outlet though. But he can throw the Stitchers. No, the thing is, you don't want to have them all get exiled, so you gotta just sort of wait. Like, it's a weird, awkward position where you can't have those get exiled. So, oh no! He says, I want to bolt this, so you get rid of your bridges. He still had a bolt left in hand. And that's a great way to do it. There's 1 gone and 2 gone. Yeah, I still think you throw him in the way at this point. Get the neonate off there, or not neonate, the flame blade adept out of there. And he says, deal damage like so. He says, I'd like to dredge. Let's do some dredging action here. Let's do it again, he says. Really hoping for those bridges. Landfall. Let's get some dudes. Here's 2 of my guys back. Any Vengevines? No, not even some Vengevines? What? Andrew says I'll take 3. Go to 16. Oh, changed his mind. No, so he's at 18. Because he was at 19, about to take 3, so. Oh, Bloodghast doesn't trigger Vengevine because it's a landfall. It's not a cast. Ah, you have to do like your grave crawlers and stuff like that. Good to know. Good to know. Yeah, he says, hey, I'm going to cast these guys for 0, and now I'll be able to get my double Vengevine back. Whoa, triple Vengevines? That's how you do it. These guys are 0. They're just going to die. But their objective is to get these guys back. And they got haste, so here, we're coming at you. 4 3s. Let's trade 1. What about 8 more damage? How about that? Wait, that's not right. 14. Why did I make it go to 16? And let's go to game number 2. Whew. That is one way to turn the corner with the deck. So you know what? I don't need Bridge to win. I can just kill you with all these Vengevines that have gone in there. So we're going to be going into sideboard style here. So one of the things that's going to need to happen is these players are going to hope that they've got those Leyline of the Void available in their board and can get that in the early turns to kind of mess with their opponents, right? So Leyline of the Void is a nice anti-opponent's graveyard card. So Leyline of the Void, if it's in your opening hand, just like any other Leyline, you can put it into play. But the real powerhouse of the card is that if a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. So it's, even good against the Hollow One because, it prevents them from being able to cast a Gurmag Angler because it's going to be super high cost. It prevents them from being able to use their Faithless Lootings. It prevents them from being able to bring back their Flamewake Phoenix or their Bloodghast. So it has to make them rely on Flameblade Adepts and essentially Hollow Ones as their main creatures, which cutting off majority of their creatures is a huge move there. Same thing though, like having the hollow one use the ley lines is super powerful here as well. Other thing that could, if he's got it in his list, engineered explosives, being able to get rid of tokens and get rid of some of those low cost things is pretty nice. Having more removal as well, just like bringing in lava mancers or fatal pushes, stuff like that. I like the pushes coming in here because you can push your own stuff again, do some shenanigans like that. Alright, let's get things going. So getting it going quick, right out the gates. Let's do the whole self-mill thing. Let's get the Flame Blade Adept out. Street Wraith gonna cycle, drop to 15. Faithless Looting, giving him +2 now. Coming at you for 3, he says. Does have menace, so cannot block. Oh my gosh, Addy, what is up? Matt's going to fetch again. At least a 14. See if he feels the need to shock himself. Looks like he was thinking about it here. Yeah. Down to 12. And here's a Gurmag, which is pretty sweet. Good follow-up. Really putting the pressure now on Andrew. Alright, let's do that whole self-mill again with another Stitcher supplier. It's like Andrew was debating there for a second. Here's 5. And the Stitcher's immediately going to jump in the way. So the deck doesn't really need that many lands. So Matt is also hoarding his land for extra discard abilities. Saw the Destructive Revelry there. That's also to help deal with ley lines and things like that. Here's a blocker, he says. Golgari Thug. So one of the nice things about him is when he dies, you put target creature card from your graveyard on the top of your library. But you can also do that whole Dredge 4 thing, so it's pretty powerful in that regard there. Here comes 5 again. And the Menace. So he's looking through. It's like, do I care about anything? Block here. Take 1. Go to 16. Yeah, there's a BridgeVine getting in there. Don't forget, whenever he enters or dies, you get to do those double. And that's a nice Thug dredging away, because now there's a bridge there. But Matt has bolts available to him, so he can kill his own stuff. Alright, in the tank. Debating here on where his next line's going to take him. Ooh, okay, he says. I'll lose 2 life. Go to 14. Blood gas. Okay, so that makes sense. So Andrew's saying that he was debating whether he needed to keep blockers back here. So he cast 2 creatures. We'll be bringing back Vengevine. Bushwhacker was able to get kicked out. So looks like he's going with the team. Yeah, that's the thing. So he's set up for lethal, and we're gonna see some bolts start coming down, clearing the way, make a zombie. Now he's got blockers in that regard. Now it's not lethal. Now 7 damage. Still a lot of damage. So Matt's now debating about bolting something else, but looks like he says, you know what, I'll take it. So he'll drop down to 5. And he'll drop to 4. Gonna fetch. Alright, Matt's going to untap. There's still that 1 lone blocker. And another bolt gets drawn. Crazy cats. I think there's a blood gas. So the thing about blood gas, it's cool and all, but doesn't get a block. So yeah, there's that. So Matt's, I think, going through in his head based on what's on the board. You know, how is he able to make something work with what he's got? And it looks just like, okay, I can't really attack. I can't really do anything. So play land and pass. Andrew double checking his yard. Seeing what he's got available. Sees there's at least one bridge, one BridgeVine in there. Sophie, what are you doing? Besides yelling. Alright, let's see what we got here. Oh, another Stitcher. 1, 2, 3. Wow. Well, here's my dudes. I'm gonna cast these guys, and then I will, you know, push for a lot of damage. Still, 2, 4, 5, 6. So he's placing his blockers to make sure he kills off stuff that's not going to be able to reoccur. He's got 2 bolts to kill off the BridgeVines. He'll still take 3. Bam, bam. You take 3. Oh, but you also get 2 more zombies. Yikes. And by 2 more, I mean 3 more, because that goblin is also going to die. And Matt's just going to scoop it up there. Like, it's snowballing way too much. And that's really a good indication of how the deck can work, is it can get this kind of drawn out, and now I can just sort of snowball. And now I can start, you know, making a bunch of zombies whenever I just start pushing for damage. And if you block, okay, cool. One of my guys might die. Sweet. As long as your guys don't die, I'm going to make more zombies. And if yours does die, well, that's not that big a deal, because you have less guys to block for my follow-up when I bring back all these BridgeVines. So, really, really cool list. It's very powerful. Definitely something your guys are going to be seeing in the future. So, keep your eyes peeled, especially if you're going to other modern events. You need to get in some practice and be able to deal with those decks. So, let's hop over. We're just going to keep going. Keep flying through, guys. Round number 3. We got 2 more to go. Let's hop in it, see what we got for round 3.